Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next session. So I'm so glad to welcome our next speaker, Ulrike. Next session. So I'm so glad to welcome our next speaker, Ulrike. Next session. So I'm so glad I think to welcome our next speaker, Ulrike. Next session. I think it's okay. It was the audio. So sorry about that. Yeah, let me introduce you to the next speaker, Ulrike Grimm. So Ulrike has been already been at this conference before. She even chaired this conference at some time, I think 2 years back. So glad to see you back. So Ulrike is an expert in ensuring successful operational execution and excellent team performance with a track record of developing drugs from research to market launch. She has extensive experience in the leadership of multicultural and cross-functional project teams within research and development in phase 1 to 4 clinical studies, international product launches, portfolio and alliance management. And so with this, I want to give the floor to Ulrike for this keynote on critical skills for digital leadership, which is we have been talking so much about digital transformation today and tools, and so let's discover with Ulrike what are the critical skills that we can use to master and succeed in this world. Okay, I see that Ulrike lost the connection. Let's wait for a minute. So by the time Ulrike joins, I just wanted to also add that Ulrike is the managing director of Pro2S based in Switzerland, and you can you can also join us at the end of the day. So after the last session at 4:30 for the Q&A session, and you can join the Q&A session where all the speakers of day one, most of them will be there. So if you have questions which have not been answered, or if you have other questions you want to discuss, so that would be the nice moment. So so that is at 4:30, and if you want to see the updated agenda, you just have to click on the reception, and when you click on that reception, if you open a new window, you can see the adapted agenda. So we are going to have two keynotes back to back. So keynote with Ulrike on critical skills for digital leadership, and then another keynote on application of artificial intelligence in PPM. So Ulrike is still having some connection issues. So
Yes.
okay, I think Ulrike is back. Great. So welcome back, Ulrike, and the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure you see. Okay. So
we can yeah, we can see the slides.
You see the slides now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. There was a disconnection with the internet and I had to rejoin again. Sorry for that. So thanks for the kind introduction, and thanks also to the organizers for the opportunity to share my experience with you on critical skills for digital leadership, which is of course in these times of COVID, where we work more or less 100% from home office, I think more and more becoming more and more important every day. So before I go into the details, you can see that before I became an independent consultant, I joined several years before Pharma in Zurich as head of project and alliance management, also other responsibilities in clinical operations, project management, and before my time at Vifor, I worked at a smaller startup biotech at Fresenius Biotech in Munich, as well as Merck KGaA in Darmstadt, which is now Merck Serono.
Sorry, excuse me, Ulrike.
Yeah.
I think we can see your screen, but maybe you have multiple screens, so we cannot see the slides.
Ah.
Okay. So if you can you have to select the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that I did that, but so now I switch to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, now if you can, perfect. Now it's perfect. Okay.
It's okay. I won't repeat myself. So do you now see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I want to guide you through, first of all, a definition of digital leadership, then go more in detail about the skills. Then I want to look into the challenges of virtual teamwork before I come to the conclusions. On the next slide, you see actually that digital leadership, you have many, many books about digital leadership, but it's not clearly defined what is meant by it. But on the other hand, having said that, the management of the business is really using more and more new digital tools, also what we saw for the training, really fantastic new approaches. And the whole idea why we do this is to become more agile, more flexible for the benefit of the business. So the collaboration should be more efficient. Also project management tools and virtual meetings. We have the whole conference virtual, which is fantastic that this is possible nowadays. Very important is the decision making, and also not only to ensure decision making, but also to speed up and have a decision making fast, as well as the participation of teams. We will see that more and more in the next slides, that it's a lot about sharing, empowerment, participation. And of course, about modernization of the organization and implementing change. So it's built on 3 pillars. To my experience, you should really have a company concept where you want to go digital. So what is it all about? And here the objectives should really be smart in the sense of being specific, having measurable schedules, timelines, have relevant objectives, and be realistic, have it achievable. So that you can also track your progress. The next pillar is the technology, or how do you want to change it? What tools do you want to implement? And of course, not to forget, you need to make it really simple or attractive to the people, so the human resources, so that you take your employees with you on this journey of digitalization and digital leadership. The areas for digitalization will or can impact all business areas. Speaking in pharma, we start with R&D, study data. We have already seen this with electronic case report forms, eTMF, it's everywhere. Timelines, of course, in production, logistics, commercialization, marketing, in financial project management, and also in the management of interaction with your team, or also looking into HR or performance measurement. The digitalization is really everywhere. It's just it's not a comprehensive list, but just to give you ideas that we really face it in all areas. And the degree to which you can implement it depends, of course, a lot on the maturity of the organization. You have to have the equipment, you have to have flexible working hours, and also the maturity of the processes, that people know how they should apply it. And you need to be creative and innovate here, the way of working, the processes. For sure, a good and close collaboration with IT is one of the main pillars and starting points of implementing here the digitalization. Now, coming back to the skills for digital leadership, don't be surprised, you will see a long list now. But before we go into that, I would like to ask you, just think a little bit, what do you think is roughly the percentage of leaders with excellent skills in digital leadership? This is based on a study where senior management was asked. And you could imagine maybe that it's more in the middle, but the truth is actually that the correct answer is about 20% only. And this might come as a surprise, and probably the last year has helped a lot to speed this up. So probably we are now closer to 40%. But nevertheless, I wanted to share a study with you where only 17% of leaders came to the conclusion that they have excellent competencies in digital leadership. And that is to point out that training and patience is also a very important aspect of implementing digital knowledge and digital leadership. So you really need support functions to make it happen, as well as I said, patience. It's not a revolution, it's an evolution, and it just takes time. So now let's have a look at the list of skills. And as I said, it's a long list. I don't want to read it all out to you, but I would like to highlight a few skills here. And first of all, it's, as we said before, digital leaders have to trust their people and let the team participate. And the participation is not just knowledge sharing, but really empowerment, and also include the teams in decision making. As you see in the second bullet point, the teams should also be empowered to explore new way of working, so to try and error. And that leads to the next point of agility, to address new situations or change management. Openness for sure is important, networking, and here it's also important, and this is what you know in all of our project management jobs. Communication is the key aspect, and particularly with the digital leadership, team building and close communication with the team members is really one of the tips I would like to really recommend. Whenever possible, try to also have from time to time face-to-face meetings where you can bring the team closer together, where you not just talk about the work, but where you also have some social elements, so that the team really has a fantastic and good team spirit. And last but not least, we will also see that you, as a leader, digital leader, you have to find the right balance between guidance and autonomy in what I call or refer to as situative leadership. So having seen the list, I wanted you to reflect a little bit what you think is most difficult for CEOs and leaders amongst those skills. I mean, they are all, as we saw before, they are all very important, but maybe you take just a short, a few seconds, a short thought, what you think is the one that people had most problems with in the past. And this is based on a questionnaire that I did myself last year, in about 50 senior managers and leaders and CEOs. And interestingly, it is the trust that the people had to establish, coming from more traditional, in most of the people I talked to, coming from really everyone sitting in the office, that it was not so easy to have the confidence in the deliverables if you never see the people anymore other than on the screen, everyone being in the home office, right? And I think this is not too surprising if we look at the heritage or where we come from of everyone sitting in the office. So you see the people working, and this is why it is so important to learn to trust the people. And here you see the 4 of the principles that have been developed by Petri in 2018, which are key elements of digital leadership: the networking, the interest in the people, the opportunity to always maximize the opportunities for personal interaction, to have the people participate, really empower them, and to be open and agile, explore new way of working. But openness also means that you share the relevant information, that you share how you came to certain decisions, for example, to make the people really feel comfortable. And the binding principle here is, again, the trust. So this is really a key element that enables you to be an excellent digital leader. So having said that, about the empathy, the networking, the team building, there is, of course, also the flip side of the coin, because the new tools and processes are implemented for the benefit of the business. So in the end, you want to see it somewhere translating into value, increase the speed, higher sales, higher profitability, or faster R&D execution. And that's why, on the other hand, as a digital leader, you also should not forget about the assertiveness and toughness to make things happen, and also in implementing the new processes or the new digital way of working. And in a consequence, it is the right balance between the more historical or transactional leadership, where we do have still hierarchical structures and a specialization of functions, which in pharma R&D, I think we will also have in the future. There still needs to be the control whether or not we are on track to achieve our goals and company objectives. On the other hand, the agile or transformational leadership, as we just said in this digital approach, is more towards the team empowerment and versus hierarchy, to have also temporary task forces, trust them that they will solve the issues, and the objectives would be achieved more by the self-organization. And this is, of course, the critical thing. It's not easy to find the right balance, and that is something where that is the art of being a very good and excellent digital leader here. So let's look at an example. I found that quite helpful, of a process that you want to digitalize. And here it is important to really understand also where you come from, because the strength, of course, you want to keep, and you only want to change those topics that need to be, or those parts of the process that need to be improved. And for that purpose, I would recommend to really involve the people, to do it rather bottom up than top down, and ask them for input to not only map the process, but also discuss the attributes of what should be kept, what are strengths, and what shall be improved. And in this way, you also ensure that the people, by involving them, will be happy about a new process or new tool, so that they will use it later on. Yeah, and while implementing new processes or tools, the basic project management principles apply as well. In my experience, it's really good to have metrics and track the value generation by looking at budget or resource needs. Are you on schedule with your milestones and tasks? Look for the right outcome. Do you have the right quality in your objective? And very important, always also monitor team engagement. Is the team happy in this journey? Are they still highly motivated? Or would you have to change that and discuss with the team how to improve the situation? As we also alluded to earlier, the coordination and alignment of communication is key. Not only that the digital leader will have to communicate very frequently with the team, but also I have been part of a process where we implemented a new dashboard, and that was available really just a click away. We used Power BI to generate the report from various sources, and everyone who had access could just by a click see where we stand in the status of our R&D projects. And therefore, it is really, really important to also manage the communication cascade, because you want to ensure that also the consequences or the actions resulting from it are communicated in the same time frame, so that there are no surprises. Let's say you are delayed in a study, or you have higher costs than anticipated, and that the CEO sees it before the team has had the chance to look at it and also come up with the mitigation plan or with the resulting actions. That's why, in my experience with these new digital tools, it's also very important to ensure the governance and the communication cascade here. So as a last topic, I thought it's of value to share with you some aspects of virtual teamwork. And what I found interesting, this is also data from a review that I found in the literature, what teams are telling of what they find are the disadvantages. I mean, the first topic is not surprising, is that there is insufficient time to build relationships. As we heard before, the idea is to speed up decision making, but sometimes this is a perception from team. This is from a real questionnaire. Yeah, the decision making was perceived to be slowed down, as well as if you look at the last bullet point, also if team members are part of various teams with different team leaders, they were a little bit annoyed by the different methods of decision making, which can happen. Also, it seems that even though you intend the opposite, you want to have a higher participation, people may feel that there is a lack of participation, and they are not surprisingly different leadership styles. And that's why I think I said it before, communication is really key, not just in the virtual teamwork, but also between the team meetings, that the leader talks to every team member individually to ensure that they really have the feeling that they are part of it, that they can participate, and don't sense this lack of participation. So even though you have the best intention, this chart tells you it's really a challenge to make it happen and to implement it in the right way. So a few tips. With being more and more virtual, the preparation becomes even more important. And as I said earlier, whenever possible, I would recommend to have face-to-face either kickoff meeting or team building at least once in a year. It also requires a strong team leader to really seek interaction wherever possible on a regular basis. Could be just a short call or a few notes. So communication also in between the meeting is really very, very important. In addition, you all know that clear roles, responsibilities, decision-making rules, and a reporting or communication plan, so that the project scope and objectives are available to all in writing, that you are all on the same page. Yet you remove as many sources for misunderstanding as possible. And additional key success factors from my experience is to have team members where you know already, if you have the chance to make a selection, that you can choose the ones who are really open to work remotely. Ideally, the team members would know each other already from prior interactions. A clear agenda that alludes to the preparation and meeting objectives, clear minutes is very important. In addition, the team members should appreciate, and the team leader should also ensure that different views are appreciated, that the team leader is able to manage or to avoid the conflict, and also to sense it in the meeting, which is a hard one and not so easy. In addition, you could enable chat rooms so that you also support the unofficial communication. And last but not least, it's also very important to celebrate the successes, to have recognition and acknowledgement for the achievements of the team. And with that, I would like to conclude my talk. So digital leadership for sure needs the networking skills, agility, openness, and participation. And this is all aligned by the trust. Then I alluded to the leadership styles, that the balance between the transactional and the agile transformational approach is required for the digital leadership. Clear structures, thorough preparation, and frequent communication in between the meetings are key success factors. for digital leadership and the virtual team meetings, and frequent communication and interaction, if possible, not only with the team members, but also with your peers, with the stakeholders, if possible, face-to-face, is the glue that keeps it all together. And with that, I would like to conclude my talk. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm open to take your questions.
Thank you so much, Ulrike, for this wonderful presentation, especially at a time when we need it most. We have a lot of digital transformation going on, and we do need these tips. What I really liked is how you presented us the three pillars of digital leadership about the what, where the concept, company concept, and the smart objectives, to how, which is the technology and tools that you'll be using, and the who, the HR or the employees. And I really like the fact that you insisted on one top skill, which is the trust and participation and agility. I think this is something we already discussed in the other sessions, and it's good that this point is coming up because it is difficult to trust. The way we trust and the concept of trust is very different in different organizations, different cultures, and it is much more needed. Especially, there is a lot of turnover in companies now. There is a lot of external participants. So with all that, we need even more. We have even more need of trust. So thank you so much for putting this whole presentation together and delivering us this insightful talk. And with this, I don't see any questions. So if there are questions, I think after this session, we have a Q&A session where all the speakers of day one will be there. So for the audience, they will have another chance to ask the question. So with this, we move to the next
yes, thank you very much.
session. So thank you, Ulrike. We'll go offline and then we'll be back in a minute.
Thank you.